What's happening? It's your boy C-Roc here with That One. I'm here at the Board of Advisors BA event in Dallas at the Ritz-Carlton. And I have my man, Jonathan Otto, with us. Wait till you hear what he's into and where he came from. We're going to find out that today. Jonathan, thanks for being here, man.
I appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, so let's get started from the beginning here. I want to know where you came from in the first place, man. By the way, you remind me of Jason Day a little bit.
Jason Day, who's that?
The golfer from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, you got to look him up, man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you remind me of him a little bit. I thought that
looks or personality or
both.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
both. Yeah. So where did you come from, man? Like where's your story start?
Yeah, well, Australia in a small town, and big dreams as a kid, trying to solve problems. I had an awareness of suffering at a young age because television can connect you to the world if you watch like news and stuff. For me, it was a World Vision commercial. I'd seen a child in starvation or a group of children, and it had a really visceral impact on me. I think I was about 7 years old, and the emaciated body and the sunken eyes and these. It brought up this response for me that wow, these people are suffering so much and this is so wrong, and how do I just live life normally now? And I was really thinking like that, and so then I worked out. My mom was wise enough to help me make money delivering newspapers, and that's how I dealt with all those big emotions, to like respond and do things. And so from that place, I went into just researching lots of things related to human suffering. Like anytime I'd get an assignment or project, if I could do it on something to do with social justice or global poverty or human trafficking, that's what I would do and learn it and understand it. And so then I became an ambassador for World Vision at age 17, traveled to Tanzania, Africa. Thanks, man. And it was just, and I would find out how to get into like Mongolia or China or Papua New Guinea, like from like, 17, 18, 19, and then travel these areas and understand what was happening and cover the stories. And so then I thought, well, how do I get the best degree to back this? And so I studied at the same time, and I did communications with a double major in journalism and media production.
Oh, did you too? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then I did, and after graduating with that, I did a degree in education. Dude, that's a funny story, because then I became a high school teacher after graduating there.
Well, I didn't know anything, all this stuff about you, man. I didn't go deep enough with you on our 15-minute call that we had. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then, so you're in a teaching mode. And then was there a time where you were just like, this is not a big enough game for me?
Yeah, it was. But like, just disclaimer, if there's teachers watching this, amazing. That's the biggest game. Like the biggest game you'll ever play would be raising children, being a teacher, or that one-to-one. It's just that if you have a unique calling in a certain direction, for example, in this case, if there's people that I need to help, then that's what I need to do. Right. Not because it's better, just because it's my unique calling. And so I felt called into all kinds of things, and my health was suffering. I was also, like, from the business side, I worked out that you could kind of do anything you wanted if you could develop the skill set. And so I started traveling to America to learn marketing and business, and my holiday breaks, and then started getting good at that. And because I had the background in journalism, and I had a lot of health issues, and I was working out how to resolve them myself, and I was asking the right questions, and just struggling my way through that. That whole thing came together with my health research and then my filmmaking and investigative journalism in health and wellness. Wow. And it was 11 years ago, The Truth About Cancer, they asked me if I wanted to produce for them. And so then I started producing with them. And just think about what that would do if you started connecting with hundreds of the world's best doctors, and you became super close friends with those people. And then you became, over time, collaborators. And so what happened for me was, after just my skills in investigating issues and connecting dots, and then eventuated to the point where I help doctors understand how to treat patients.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
You think that they're the ones that are the expertise, you have the expertise, and we put doctors on a pedestal sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then we don't, take advantage of our own agency as patients and advocate for ourselves. right? So you were able to do basically higher education for doctors.
Yeah, exactly. And it's two ways, right? So
Yeah.
no ego. Like I learn a lot, but absolutely, like some of the world's best holistic doctors, and you'll see it even directly in interviews where they're taking notes on what I'm explaining of how best to treat this certain condition based on this new information that they may not have understood, and here's the mechanism, and here's how these things go together, and here's all the case studies. Because people can say anything. It's like with business, you could say you've got the best strategy, or the other person got the best strategy, but the bank balance will tell you which one is the best strategy and who's the better one at that particular thing. And in this case, if you have results and they're real and that statistical average is extremely high, then that's really important data. And we have that. We have so many cases
people
of people
lie,
reversing disease.
numbers don't if they're credible. Numbers, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever have anybody asking you your credibility, like questioning your credibility because you didn't go to med school, but here you're talking to doctors? Did you have any doctors that are kind of egotistical and they're like, who are you?
Yes.
Do you still get it today?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's not as common, but yeah, every now and again. And the more old school and like if I don't know. It's been a while since I've encountered it, which is good, which shows you a shift, and there's a humility there, and like I mean, nobody should be bragging about anything when the cancer rates today are so high, and unless you've got 100% success on cancer, then why do you have any ego at all? No one should have ego. I shouldn't have ego. No one should. Everyone. Yeah.
So what are you working on right now that's got you excited? Let's get into that. What is your main focus right now that like you focus on every day, you wake up excited for?
It's this central issue of there's a lot of people in the world suffering, and it's getting worse, and it's not getting better. The world at large, and the types of conditions, the types of cancer, autoimmune disease that are getting diagnosed, how accelerated these processes are, how difficult they are with the current methods or the methods that are most widely used, even in holistic medicine. It's not working. So when I get up, my whole thing of what I'm working at is not only how do you solve that problem, but how do you get it to the most people? How do you make things universally accessible? How do you make health free? Because it should be, even though you pay for things, but like it actually wasn't supposed to be this way. You weren't supposed to have to pay for your health. And whether you think about that from a biblical point of view, that health was just the inheritance that was given to the first humans, Adam and Eve, or however you understand it. Like that's how I understand it. That was a gift that was given by God, and it was something that you were just worthy, or you're deserving of it, because that's the gift of God for you, and you were made whole. And so now most people can't afford what they need, and that's a huge issue. But that's often because they don't know about the therapies that are available to them that don't cost anything, and often they're the best therapies, but they're so highly censored, and they're treated often with reproach or disgust. And that's why I'm the guy that talks about urine therapy.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. It's because if you understood that the body's producing around $5 million worth of stem cells per year, you could either just keep being disgusted or do the research.
$5 million is produced by the body per year in stem cells.
Just in stem cells, not even including enzymes.
That's all of them throughout their body if you were to extract them.
No. So if you were to just collect your urine every day.
Oh, just the urine?
Yeah, just urine only.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And what about peptides? Are there peptides in urine?
Yes, and signaling molecules, and which is really what a peptide is.
Wow.
And it's really where a lot of this came from, because urine is the most studied science, the single most studied substance in medicine. There's so many medications that are all urine derived, which you probably didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, so Premarin, pregnant mare urine, urokinase, an enzyme from urine that breaks down.
But wait a minute. So the body filters with its organs, and it comes out as urine. Mm-hmm. So before you do any urine therapy, do you need to filter the urine?
It's already filtered.
It's already filtered
through the kidney.
But isn't it the waste that's coming out?
That's a lie.
Oh, it's a lie.
Yeah.
So this is very controversial, I'm sure, with some people, right?
Yeah, but only to this society because of the amount of indoctrination that we've had. But every society that's come before us, that's documented, that have established civilizations that I've researched, that anyone else can research, all did this. This was their medicine.
So do you think that you said indoctrination? You used the word indoctrination. Do you think, like, why was the U.S. indoctrinated to not believe in the power of urine therapy?
Because it would give power to the pharmaceutical companies over us.
Okay, that's
and
what I thought.
It would
I'll let you say it.
Yeah, and it would push things into harmful, I won't even say the words, but harmful interventions that would go into the bloodstream that would allegedly protect you and give you immunity, but they would cause more harm than good. And that whole thing could thrive because you had so little power. Because if you have an acute infection, you don't realize that your body, what you think is waste, is actually antibodies. Urine produces antibodies. It filters toxins with the rest of the blood through the kidneys and produces a bound substance. The medical name for urine is plasma ultrafiltrate. Plasma blood ultra-filtered. And so when it has infinitesimal amounts of what you think is waste products, but what they actually are signaling molecules. It's like a peptide of that specific toxin. And the way that you know this is true, what I'm saying, is if you look at the womb, what's happening is that the babies start urinating from 6 weeks on, and at 8 weeks it forms their lungs. The urine actually goes through their mouth and nose and forms their lungs. And this is what we blanket as amniotic fluid, but it's actually urine. It's just another name.
But they're not well, I guess they are from the mother. I was going to say the fetus is not ingesting food and drink, but they are through the mother. The umbilical cord.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And then they're urinating, and so their blood is filtered through their kidneys, like yours is. And because our anatomy, our biology didn't change when we exited the womb, it's the same. And so then that urine is coming out, and then they're drinking it. So they're urinating every 1 to 3 hours, drinking hundreds of milliliters per day. And so if this was a toxin-free environment, maybe we'd have an argument to say that we shouldn't do it now because we're exposed to toxins, but it's not. Of the only 400 chemicals that the Environmental Working Group tested for, they could have tested for 100,000, tested 400. Of those, 287 were found. Of those, 180 plus were proven to cause cancer, birth defects, and brain deformations. How do babies survive when they get that many toxins through their umbilical cord and they dump their toxins through their urine, their waste organ, and then they drink it to the tune of more than their body weight per day, hundreds of milliliters per day?
Yeah.
The body does not excrete waste through urine. It secretes antibodies to those toxins. It's how the baby counters the toxicity that's going on in the womb.
Okay. And so is there ever a time where you should not use your urine? Whether it was maybe you were drinking, maybe you were sick, maybe you were dehydrated. Is there any time a urine shouldn't be used?
No.
And does it have to be your own urine?
No.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know all these,
Yeah.
kind of like, a lot to think about here.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it's antibodies, then it would need to be your own. But if it was for enzymes, you're typically you're either getting synthetic forms when you buy urea skincare products. They're synthetic urine, or in some cases it's actual urine, so you're getting it from other sources, but it works. And because it's still the filtration of the blood and it's pure, just like in the same way you get a blood transfusion or something like that. But if it's specific antibodies, then that's important. But there were companies that made a lot of money by selling urine between parties, because biology can be different. Like a postmenopausal woman's urine can actually be used to help a woman fall pregnant. And Air Serrano in 1992 made $855 million in one calendar year doing just that, doing that transaction between those two parties.
Is it illegal to sell urine, human urine?
I don't think so. That was legal then. I have not read anything.
And can you get sick from drinking urine?
You could get a Herxheimer reaction, which is a healing crisis. So if you feel pain because you did red light therapy, it's not because red light hurt you. It's because that inflammation is part of the healing. It's not common that people feel pain, but sometimes they do. But no, you don't get sick. You get better from urine therapy, but you could have a short-term healing crisis, and in which case you need to do smaller amounts. But then your other question was, what was the one you asked before?
I said legal, and then I said, can you get sick?
Yeah. No, it was before that, but it's fine.
Okay. And then what about if somebody wanted to start urine therapy? Can you give us like the first 3 steps they would take?
Yeah, you could. Okay, so first thing to do would be, 1, make it easy. So then go and drink a ton of water and don't eat much food, like, or, you know, do whatever. But if you ate raw plants, like, I mean, think Garden of Eden, because once you do that, you realize, man, why does my urine taste good when I do this? And why does it taste bad when it's anything else? So raw plants, it's
I
like...
really want to think about the taste.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah. Right.
It's indoctrination.
Yeah. Or pineapple or, you know, like, yeah.
And because it's all water.
Yeah.
And you're a salt water being. And so it's just water and salts. And
right.
that's
right.
what, and in there you've got all the enzymes and all this. So what you do is you just drink water and eat good food, make it easy. Or like you'd be like, no, I just don't care. I don't want to do that. But I just want to, you shouldn't make all these rules. But my point is, if you're hydrated and your urine looks a little bit clear, it's just going to taste like water, and you realize how much of a lie this whole thing is.
Right.
But then you would just take that, and you could mix it with anything, and ice or whatever, so that you can't even recognize it.
So do you do it right away, or is it okay to store it in the fridge?
Yeah, well, the way that they got to 100 million, this was a Wake Forest University study. They came from an NIH grant, and they found 100 million in the 24-hour urine sample, but it was when it was aged for 3 weeks.
Okay.
So, but originally it was 140 stem cells. So if you drink fresh urine, you're drinking a small amount of stem cells, which arguably is really powerful because it's signaling the body to remove, or it's signaling the body, it's giving information like this is your unique cells, and you know, make more of these.
So fresh would be warm, so you could think of yourself as drinking some tea.
Yeah.
And just tell yourself this is tea. This is tea.
Exactly.
And then you get used to it.
Exactly.
And how much per day should people be drinking?
You could drink as much or as little as you wanted. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say before. I saw a woman that had a snake bite, a young woman. So she's only 14, so girl, in Uganda. And so you said, is there any circumstance where you don't drink urine? The most toxic effect that you could have from anything is a lethal animal bite, like a venom bite.
Right.
That's the thing that could shut you down the quickest, like in seconds, would be that. And so if you can drink your urine in that case, you can't tell me a scenario in which that urine would be unsafe.
Yeah.
And I can tell you exactly what it does. It gives you the antibodies to those poisons, and people, when they do it, it saves their lives. I've seen it firsthand. I watched it happen to this 14-year-old. I saw her get a lethal scorpion, but I didn't see the bite, but I saw the reaction in her body, and the group gathered around her, and her fading and not being able to walk, and I saw her get up and out of it. And
how long?
With urine therapy, we had gone and done food relief that day, and the report that I got was sometime later that day, but I'd seen her then the next day. Okay. But she was like hopping around on her feet, super.
So if somebody doesn't gather up the gumption to do it themselves, there is synthetic versions. Is there a big drop off with synthetic versions? Yeah,
totally. And they're like, I was just talking to Dr. Tony Jimenez from the Hope for Cancer Center, and so one of the sought after places, and I was going through all the literature on things like urea, and he said, we used to use that. It used to be available, this high concentration urea, and it was so effective. So it was an example of a synthetic form, but it was high concentration, so it was very effective. It would be more effective if you could just take your own urine and then keep extracting the urea, the urokinase, the stem cells. And it's not because the whole thing is not good, and it is, and that's where you look at all the cancer therapies that have been done on urine therapy just in its whole form. They're amazing, and it has all these instructions that it's giving the cells. Anyway, that's another story. The anti-neoplastons, anti-tumor cells are there. So if you only extracted the stem cells, you'd miss the anti-neoplastons, which are anti-tumor cells that are in your urine.
Okay.
But my point with that is that ideally you could get these extractions. Ideally, you could get these extractions, and then those extractions from your own urine in high concentrations, and it would allow you to have more therapeutic aspects to those particular compounds that are found within urine. But your fresh urine is your own urine, and if you want to have it more powerful, aging it is what does that, and you could do that then rectally.
What do you mean?
You put it in the anus.
Oh, okay, like a coffee enema.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. But you would age the urine?
Yeah.
In the refrigerator?
Oh, yeah, that's what you asked before.
Yeah, yeah.
In the windowsill, or ideally in the windowsill, because it would solarize and lunarize, because
Wow.
it is still your blood and it's responsive to light, just like think red light therapy.
So it doesn't have to stay cool in a refrigerator? Okay.
No. Yeah, from all my research, and because you think about babies in the womb, they're at room temperature.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're suspended in their, like a saltwater deprivation tank,
Right.
in urine for that whole period in room temperature. So you kind of just look for things that resemble nature.
So as we wind down here, we're up against the clock. I want to touch on red light therapy. How did you get into that? And what are some things that people should pay attention to when they either go to a center or buy something for their home?
Yeah, sure. So red light therapy for me, it was just all about finding solutions, understanding that regenerative medicine is the answer, and understanding that light is arguably the most regenerative tool that we have, and it will penetrate the cells, interface with the mitochondria within the cells that account for about 25% of your organ cells. They surround the nucleus, they charge the cell, they produce a substance called ATP. This is how the cells can repair themselves, undergo apoptosis and mitophagy, which is the apoptosis of unhealthy mitochondria. Then they go and repair. They'll do all kinds of things, detoxify the cells innately. People are getting eyesight back on red light therapy in clinical studies.
See, a lot of people don't know you can stare into red light.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't hurt your eyes.
No, and like people would say, okay, look, the studies that we have on this is for around 3 minutes. And so that we know that is documented, and all the reports that I'm getting and people like me that are keeping their eyes open for longer than that, we're seeing benefits and no harm, but that's not documented. So I can't say, right. It can be longer than that, but 3 minutes is amazing, and it's arguably enough. There were studies even on a minute of exposure and per day to the body, and it just.
And you don't have to stare right into it, as long as it's hitting your eyes?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you have red light on your face, does that help your whole body or only the place where the light's shining?
It still helps your whole body, but not to the same extent.
Okay.
And so then, because your body was going to pulsate that through the body, and it's going to communicate cell to cell, and your body works on frequencies, and light is actually a frequency, and so it's like it's a resonance, and so it actually is like kind of like a tuning fork, and one hits, the other one goes off, and it just without them touching each other, and that's what happens through the body.
Okay.
But the closer you get it to that affected area, the better.
Okay. All right, and then what are people paying attention to, whether they go to a center or they buy red light for their house? What should they be focused on to make sure that they're getting quality?
Yeah, sure. So you look for irradiance, number one. So the amount of power that's delivered is the most important thing. So it needs to be that highest irradiance. For example, what we did with our device is we have 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches, which is the highest documented that I've found.
Can that plug into a regular 110 outlet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much power at all because it's light emitting diode tech, and that means that you're taking so little power.
Well, I heard on Instagram that somebody said if you can plug it in your wall, it's probably not high enough voltage.
Oh, interesting.
Is that
No, I've not heard that. And then, like, what do they say? What do they expect?
I didn't pay attention to them because I hear some false things from that person sometimes. So I was just curious.
Yeah, there you go. You said it all. But you just measure that. You can independently measure with the meter and say, okay, if this is this high, and then you go and look at all the studies and you say, okay, well, look at this study I found on red light therapy. This study showed with breast cancer that 660 nanometer light dropped the breast tumor proliferation by 40% in 24 hours. This is on PubMed. And this is in both triple negative and non-triple negative breast cancer origin cell lines. And it's in vitro in a petri dish, but it's human cell lines. So I'm going to and here's the amount of power that was delivered. This is the amount of power I've got. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how you have to think about it. You can't, because that's the information you have, and it's lock and key.
Yeah.
If it's the same wavelength, and the second thing to look for is the wavelengths. So what we did as well, we put 9 different wavelengths into our devices. So from 480, which is actually blue. There's a lot of myths around blue light, but if it's constant, doesn't flicker, it's important for skin rejuvenation, really good for depression, circadian rhythm. But then 590, 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060. They're the 9 different wavelengths. They're all interfacing with different areas of the body. So that's the second thing to look for, because there are conditions that need certain wavelengths, and then there's certain supplements people are taking and they activate at different wavelengths of light.
Oh, okay.
And certain things you're eating, everything that you're eating, especially that's plants, will activate under light. And then you go finally that low to no EMFs. We don't have any EMFs coming out of the device. And then the other thing was dual LEDs. So you have every LED light emitting diode, not to be confused with high flicker, so high quality. All the studies I'm referencing are all LED studies, so super important. But dual LEDs, so 2 different frequencies coming out of the same light.
Okay.
Both red and near infrared. And so then it's even spread. So if you're looking at like 300 LEDs, it's actually 600.
Okay.
Because
yeah, makes sense.
So then you're doubling the effect and you're putting double the amount of light over those organs. So it's better than it being twice the size, because then it's outside your body anyway, but you want it over, like, double the amount over your heart, double the amount over your brain, thyroid. By the way, for the women watching this that want to fix their thyroids, because it's 10 to 1 women to men, on a study on LT4, whether the participants could create it or not, they put them on red light for 5 weeks, took them off it. 9 months later, tested their levothyroxine levels. 47% of them didn't need to take levothyroxine at all. They were producing LT4 by themselves, and all of them had a dramatic decrease. They're only 5 weeks, twice a week, and then they took them off it for nearly an entire 8 months, and now half of them don't need to take it anymore. And how many lives are getting ruined over thyroid disease?
Tons. Well, where can people go deeper with you, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. So for red light therapy, and to learn more from all our free education on this, and to also see what we offer and how these devices can help you, go to myredlight.com. And
I like that domain. myredlight.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. And can we give a code to your audience?
Yeah.
Awesome. That one.
BA audience.
Okay,
yeah, use that one. That's fine. Yeah, use that one. It doesn't matter where you go, though, because here's the thing. I just want to help Jonathan. We all at BA just want to help Jonathan, and we want to help you, more importantly. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time today.
Awesome.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.